So you may not know this about me, but when I started this YouTube channel, I used my iPad Pro to do my video editing and uploading it to YouTube. And I had this question that I thought about today, which is, can an iPad, more specifically an iPad Pro, be used to completely take over as your desktop as a primary device? And I can tell you right now, with everything I'm going to show you, the answer is no. An iPad can't fully take over as a desktop computer. So let's go over real quickly what I'm going to be using for this setup. I have the iPad Pro down there, if you can see it. And I have this adapter right here that's going to have my HDMI, my USB-C to charge, and it does have a USB-A port as well as two SD cards, one micro, one standard. I also have the Magic Keyboard for the Mac as well as a Magic Mouse. This is what I normally use for my Mac Mini setup, and I have made this point before with my Mac Mini, which is that it's a great device for what I need it for. It does my video editing, it does my browsing, does everything I need it to do. So I don't really need a much more powerful Mac. If I do get one, it's just to make things a little bit quicker than it is already and having a better display, because this display kind of sucks. But we're going to start with what are some of the things you need to know about using this setup. So number one is with the Bluetooth things. Now, there is options to use different devices. I have a USB mouse that I could use here, as well as a Magic Keyboard for the iPad that I could have used instead. But I decided to go with these other devices. And one major important thing you need is Bluetooth audio. The reason why I say that is because when using something like YouTube, you do lose the ability to hear anything if you don't have an audio headphone connected. You don't have audio coming from the iPad or the monitor, and YouTube is another big problem here because it doesn't really work the way it's supposed to. So we're gonna start by going to one of my videos. We're gonna use the recent Forza video right here. Now you see it showing up here the way it should, but earlier when I was testing it, it didn't work. It kept having the overlay of it's connected to AirPlay, and it just wouldn't allow me to display the media. Now, just to show you, it is also on the iPad, so you are getting both screens showing the same image simultaneously. But like I said, you can't hear anything because it's connected to headphones, which is another problem here because my headphones are connected, but they're not giving me sound. I don't hear anything. And you also lose this whole portion of screen when you are using the iPad connected by the HDMI. You know, it does get smaller with videos for some reason, but here, that's the extent of where the screen can reach. So that is a big problem there. Now you can choose to airdrop your display to a TV like I have done before, but doing so prevents you from using any type of Bluetooth audio. You're forced to use the TV's audio, and that could be a problem depending on who you live with and what kind of projects you're working on. Maybe you want to keep things on the headphones, not to disturb others. So that is a problem. But for here, it is playing YouTube. It would play audio from my headphones, but for some reason it's not. But another problem is, while the keyboard can be used to play and pause, you lose the other controls to go back a few seconds or forward a few seconds. They don't work. And another problem with this setup is when you have an iPad, you can hold the screen with like 5 fingers and swap between apps. You could also do it on the Magic Mouse by swiping a couple of fingers on here. But when I do it, it doesn't work. You lose the feature to swipe on the mouse to change screens. So keep that in mind when using it. Now, doing something in terms of, let's say, video editing, for example, we're going to open iMovie. Now, I already have some clips here from San Andreas Definitive. Little side note, don't bother with this collection. But I wanted to show something here because it's also not good here. It freezes, it slows down, and then it just completely stops, and I can't control it on the mouse or on the iPad itself. It's just stuck and it's frozen, and that does happen. It happened every time I tried it here. So you do have the loss of that feature of editing on a bigger screen with your iPad. Now, if you want to use the iPad on its own to edit your videos, it works pretty well for the most part. Even more specifically, if you have an Apple Pencil to use it with, you do have a better editing experience with that. But while putting it here on the monitor, it just crashes and freezes and you can't do anything with it. Now, there is something that it does really well. I'm going to reset my Bluetooth device so I can hear my content. Let's see, disconnect, reconnect that. So it should work. I'm going to connect a PS4 controller to the iPad so that it can play a video game. I'm going to play the original San Andreas on my iPad. And you're going to see the difference between using iMovie and using a game. Hopefully the audio is working this time. I tried it before filming and it didn't work for some weird reason. Let's get the game to load. And I'm having the same problem as before. The controller just won't work despite being connected. So I have to reset that connection. Oh, and look at that. It worked as I touched the screen. Let's disconnect the controller. Now I can confirm the Bluetooth audio is working. I just heard the sound as I left the app. So let's try this again. DualShock 4. Power on. Oh, look at that. Why is it not working? Okay, now it claims to be connected. Let's see if it's true. So I got audio, I got the controller, and we got movement. And you can see here, it moves pretty smoothly, you know, as compared to the iMovie. iMovie just didn't work at all, but here it's working, it's smooth. I can run around, I can, you know, get into a vehicle and drive around. And it just works, you know, it's working fine. So that, you know, that's something you have to consider as well. If you want to play a game on a bigger screen, you can do it this way. You can also airdrop it to a TV, just having TV audio. And I don't remember if airdropping to a TV did had a couple of issues with media playback depending on what you're doing. Like I tried putting a movie on my TV with airdrop, or rather a video from a streaming service, and it just kept freezing on me. But if I have one that's already downloaded to my phone, for example, it will play the media. Netflix, unfortunately, doesn't work with airdrop. It tells you to open the app and watch it through the app on the TV rather than using the airdrop from the app on the phone or iPad. So you can see gaming does work for the most, you know, actually pretty well. It works pretty great. So we'll just end this screen here. So as you can see, no, your iPad really can't be used as a replacement for a desktop. Now I have seen people in the past use a MacBook with a dock and they can use that as a replacement for the desktop. The only difference with that is you may not have as good specs on the MacBook as you would with a Mac desktop, and that's just based on personal preference of what you want to use it for. But if you want to use the iPad as a replacement for a laptop, that's a different story given the you know, the Magic Keyboard. But to keep in mind with that, you will need an adapter such as the one I used to do certain things on the iPad as a laptop replacement. Like I said, this one has two SD card slots, a USB-A, USB-C, and HDMI, and a headphone adapter if you want to use that, but who's using that anymore anyway? This would be good for using, let's say you want to upload a resume to an application or something. You could put a USB drive here to access your resume. Or if you have the Apple ecosystem and you have it saved in your documents, it is going to be on all your devices anyway. So that is a feature. You can maybe use this port for a USB mouse if you have one of these, because they're a lot cheaper than one of these. I think this would only cost at most $20, and this one, because it's in black and not white, and they were like limited, I paid almost $100 for this open box, whereas a new one in white was like $70. So almost 100, 20 bucks. You know, you do lose the swipe across the mouse feature on this, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And considering the keyboard is $300 for the 11-inch and $350 for the 12-inch. Going on from there, like I said, it is a better replacement for a laptop because it is also smaller and lighter than most laptops out there. And depending on which iPad you have, you could have a pretty great, powerful iPad that would do what you need compared to a laptop. Now, of course, there are certain things a laptop can do that an iPad can't. That could be anything from, let's say you want to do screen recording on a software. You can do it with the iPad on the internal screen recording. It just may not be as good as another software. You can't connect the capture device to an iPad like an Elgato. So if you want to capture gameplay from a console, you can't on the iPad, but you can on a laptop if it's powerful enough. There really isn't much left to say about it. The iPad Pro is a great device. I do love using my iPad. I use it pretty much every Sunday now. I have meetings every Sunday with a team, and we go over notes and everything. So I do love using it for that. Because like I said, it is smaller and lighter than a laptop, and it does work. But if you want to use an iPad as a replacement for a desktop, sorry, it's not going to work. I'm Anthony Olan Tech, and I will see you guys next time.